My online course is doing great. How can I make it better? We've got a completely uncensored, unedited consulting session and coaching coming up right now on the Rise to Top podcast. And welcome, my great and good friends. It's your great and good friend, David Siteman Garland, a.k.a. Uncle DSG, a.k.a. DSG. I'm all out of names. Welcome to the Rise to Top podcast, and we're going to be doing a little switching it up here today on the podcast. You know, I always like to kind of push the envelope of what we're doing on here and trying new things, and this is a really, really cool thing that we're going to be doing here today. And that's going to be a live coaching and consulting session with Leigh Parker, who's going to be on here asking me questions about how he can grow his course. Okay? Now, just give context on this. I don't do any coaching or consulting. You know, I'm all about online courses and software in our programs and things like that. So even if I charged $1 bazillion, I don't do any coaching consulting. But I thought this would be really interesting to come and do this on the podcast. And this is completely uncensored. This is unedited. There's no, we didn't go over any pre-questions. There was nothing like that. Just like everything on this podcast. We never go over anything. We just go at it, right? And so this all started because Leigh sent me this email several months ago, and it said, "My online course is doing great. How can I make it better? Hey, David, my business partner, Sarah Lorenzen, and I are members of your Create Awesome Online Courses course, Conversion Cats and Course Cats. We launched our online course, Do It Yourself Dropship University, in October 2017, and have already done over $50,000 in revenue. Our goal is to scale to a $1 million per year business. My question is, moving forward, what should we be focusing on to scale to that level sustainably? Currently, our sales funnel is very basic. It looks like Facebook ad, webinar registration, sales webinar. Our email sequence is basic, et cetera, et cetera. He talks about our webinars converting consistently at 7 to 10%. Our follow-up sequence brings in a consistent 10% plus. I'd love to learn and model what you have done to scale to the level of success that you have achieved and what you would suggest to us to start heading in the same direction. Do you offer private coaching or consulting? Hope to hear back from you. Big fan and student, Leigh Parker." Okay, now, I said, you know what? Wouldn't this be interesting if we turn this into a podcast episode so everyone else could learn as well? And by the way, I did respond to Leigh's email, and I gave him some tips that he's now implemented and done even better than the $50,000 in sales as well. But I wanted to bring him on here today and for this wide open discussion here on the podcast here on the Rise to Top episode number 17. And by the way, if you want to check out the show notes at any time, links, things that we talk about in the episode, make sure you go to the risetotop.com/episode 17. All right, let's get right at it. All right, so now I am joined today by, one half of the team, right?
That's right.
Mr. Leigh Parker, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, mate.
And you're coming at us from where today?
Los Angeles.
Okay, awesome. So in the introduction, I kind of went through a little bit of the email that you sent over to me, and it's really interesting. So tell us, just give us the lightning fast, really quick here before we kind of hop into whatever questions you might have here. Give us the lightning fast, just a little bit about what your course is and who it helps.
Right. So Sarah and I are both people who are into e-commerce and high-ticket e-commerce specifically, and we had both kind of, used that to leave our day jobs and whatever. And we kind of had this realization that market was a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? They're underserved.
Underserved, yeah.
Yeah, they're underserved, especially when it came to, there's heaps of e-commerce courses out there, but they weren't really, in the high ticket, like what we do. So we teamed up, we spent 6 months putting this course together. We thought it'd take us like 4 weeks, took us way longer. And we launched properly in October. We've done 308,000 in sales since then. We've got a great customer base, and we're sort of, learning as we go in terms of, always updating the course and so on. But yeah, it's been good so far, and we're looking to keep going and growing more.
Love it. So, okay, so that's interesting too, because in the email you sent me, you said you'd already done $50K in revenue. So now, has that increased since then?
Yeah. So at this stage, like I said, since October to now, it's been it's over 300,000 in revenue.
Okay, love it. Now, I replied to your email. I sent some suggestions in, but tell me right now, where can I help? Like, what's kind of your questions? Where can we help you get to that next level?
Okay, so where we're at right now is we've got a very basic evergreen webinar funnel. That's what we do. We run our Facebook ads, people register for our evergreen funnel, and then they go into the webinar, and that's the one sort of thing we've got set up. What we want to know is, how to, I don't know, like where to go from there. I know email marketing is something that we really, we've been slack on, and that's something I've been working on lately. I want to get that going. But what would you focus on? The other thing I want to talk about is back-end offers, right? We've got one offer and we've got one product right now. Obviously, we want to increase our lead value over time. So, other things that we could maybe brainstorm on, what would you do as a separate, maybe high-end back-end offer or something like that?
Got it. So let me ask just kind of a few clarifying questions. We'll start with kind of the first thing, which is let's call it the funnel, right?
Sure.
So you've got the auto webinar going, you're running Facebook ads to that. So overall, that's doing well. That's your main lever for getting leads and converting leads, right?
That's 100% of what it is, yeah.
Okay, so that's where you're exactly focusing now. And my question is, just to make sure, just to clarify on your actual automated webinar strategy, do you have a cart open and cart close date?
No, we don't. It's evergreen.
Okay, so that's one thing that I would definitely experiment with before we start kind of getting into fancy funnels and different things like that. So when we do an automated webinar, any automated webinar, there's a deadline associated with it. And we set that up through deadline funnel, okay? And now there's two ways you can do this. I'll explain what I do, and I'll also explain another method, and you can kind of choose whatever one you feel you want to go with, okay? So here's the thing. Just like with everything with the course, like when you did your first launch, which was your VIP launch, right? One of the big elements of sales for a course is having a deadline, right? It's having a thing. But how do you do that when you have an automated webinar or something like that? Well, a lot of people make the mistake where it's just, hey, here's the automated webinar, here's the offer, it's good forever, okay?
Right.
So what I would change to is using deadline funnel, where that offer actually expires after your follow-up. Do you send email follow-ups for your webinar?
Yep, we have follow-up sequence there. And that's the thing too. We definitely, we create urgency and scarcity in that follow-up sequence, and we do have a soft close date. We don't actually close the cart.
Okay, so we actually close the cart. And that's something that we have seen great success with. And so we actually close the cart. Now, what are the two ways you could do this? Well, one, experiment with closing the cart. See what happens. Do you know what I mean? You might see a surge of sales the last day. You might see just general more urgency when it comes to that, okay? The second thing you could do, and again, I don't personally do this, but we have seen people do this successfully, is that you simply, if you want to leave it open, if you take away a lot of very delicious things. So let's just say bonuses or things like that. I've seen that method as well. We prefer the cart closed, but either way, and already just by doing that, it's going to increase your conversion percentage, no doubt.
Okay.
No doubt. So that's an easy one with the actual funnel itself. The second thing is that, what I'm impressed with you guys is that you've been able to generate $300,000, and it's just great with just a very simple automated webinar funnel and some follow-ups, right? And that should be commended more than anything, because that's a great opportunity. So now it's the question of, well, where do you go next? And this also kind of ties into some of the back-end things as well, right? So first of all, let's say I opt in and I take your webinar and I don't buy. What happens to me?
You go to our email campaign, which is the follow-up campaign, and it's a week-long follow-up campaign. So you get an email every day, or almost every day, or over 5 days, increasing scarcity, and yeah. Okay,
so then I don't buy. Then what happens to me? Do you send out other types of content? Do you send out other things? What happens to an email? A person that signed up, went through it, regardless of whether they attended the auto webinar or not, doesn't matter. They go through the cart close or the soft close in this case, and they're done. They did not buy at this point. What happens to that person?
And this is what I was saying before. This is some serious low-hanging fruit that I see. That we have a huge email list at this point, and we have no other kind of follow-up. We've got a very slim window of content emails that they'll get when they sign up, whether they joined or not, like a 3-4 day thing. And then like you said, if they go through the follow-up sequence and they don't buy, we've just got them sitting in our email list. And I can know, obviously, that's just a huge thing that could be taken advantage of.
Yeah, there. I mean, I'm frothing at the mouth here because there's so many opportunities for you that are real simple. I mean, we're not talking about getting into a funnel that's not working and we've got to try to figure out what's not working with it. I mean, you've got a funnel that's working. Now it's like, okay, how can we increase the amount of people that are purchasing and also just long-term loyalty and helping them out and things like that. So let me give you kind of the end goal picture. What we have now is what we call the super funnel. And what we have in my business, and this is something, to get to in the future. So don't think that you're going to go from where you're at now and jump on this. You'll want to jump off a bridge. Okay.
Okay.
But I want to give you the big picture, because then we can bite off a chunk of it that you can do. Okay. So the big picture is when someone joins my email list, and I've got several different ways you can join. There's different things that doesn't matter. Once they're in there, they're going to get, we've got over nearly 12 months of content for them.
Wow.
In our email list. Okay. Now, what do I mean by content? I mean a combination of exactly two types of content. One is free, and people that are listening to this, they know this, right? So meaning just free tips, advice, YouTube videos, podcasts, stuff like that. Like just 100% free, no qualms, no asking for anything, not even asking to sign up for a webinar, nothing. Just free, great content, right? And they get that. But about once a month, when you're on my email list, you're going to get a promotion for something. It's all automated, okay? And that promotion is going to come at you at different ways through the email list. So, for example, it might be a free video series, then a promotion. It might be sign up for an automated webinar and then a promotion. It might just be a straight up promotion that we come to you at, right? And we've got a whole variety of these that we mix in with, of course, great free content. So we're constantly giving free content for several weeks. Then we'll have, a promotional week for that person. And that's all automated for everyone that signs up for our email list. And there's lots of twists and turns. Okay. That's kind of the big picture.
How many sort of emails a week are they getting on that sequence?
Yeah. So I would say how many emails they get.
Yeah. Like, is it like an every day, but 3 times, 4 times a week?
I would say, here's a good way of looking at it. This is what we do. And again, experiment, go crazy.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. Is that when they're not in a promotion, okay, it's about once a week. All right.
Okay.
So it's like a content email once a week. Like, hey, here's a tip. Here's something cool.
Motivational Mondays, something like that.
Yeah, anything. And it could be any time. We just kind of have it set up. Then when they're in a promotion, of course, they're going to get then more emails if we're going to kind of ramp up the promotion, and there's different things, right? So it's kind of like, we want to stay in touch, and we don't want, and what you don't want is you don't want every email to be transactional, right? Obviously, because that's going to start burning out people, and you want to be of value as well. So what I would say is think about that long term, right? But the short term is what's one more thing you could add in now, even if it's the exact same product, but it's presented in a different way. Okay, so think about this, because you said you've got this email list. It's a little bit dormant, right? Now think about this, meaning after they go through your initial sequence. What if we had, I go through your cart close, I don't buy, all right? What if you then do, I'm just saying, I'm throwing out random numbers here, 3 weeks of free content. Okay, 3 weeks, maybe even 4 weeks, but let's just call it 3 weeks, where you send out a free tip. It could be anything. It really could be literally anything. A story, a tip, a video, a podcast, your favorite things you're reading this week. It doesn't matter, right? Something that people will find valuable and interesting. No pitches, nothing, right?
Yep.
Then I would come up with another, we call this a back-end funnel, right? So this is a funnel that's just now to people that are subscribing. That's going to then lead them to another opportunity to purchase your exact same course.
Got it.
Okay. And people miss this because, a lot of times we think, and I know this too, like we used to think this too. It's like, well, if someone signs up and they go through a sequence and they don't buy, they're not going to buy. And what we've noticed is that you would be surprised how many people enroll the 5th time they hear about it, the 4th time they hear about it, the 10th time. I mean, we've had people, I'm looking for someone, if I actually went in there and dug at the data, I guarantee you there's some like crazy, awesome person in there that has gone through like 15 funnels and then finally purchased. Right. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, it's not to say everyone's going to purchase. That's not the point. Right. But the point is that you want to have another opportunity another way, because maybe the person signed up, but then they didn't watch the automated webinar and they kind of forgot about you. And now they've kind of moved on with their day. So I would think about what is something else that then you could give them to lead them down another path. Now I'll give you some things. So for example, could be just a free video series, real simple. Right? Do some tips. Put them on video. Here's video 1, video 2, video 3. And then there's another opportunity to buy. Maybe the offer is slightly different than the one on the webinar. Maybe the bonuses are different. Maybe you have an extra payment plan. I don't know. I'm just saying something. It's not going to be the exact same offer, right?
Right. Okay.
It's going to be a little bit different. And so you want to have a little bit of different. It doesn't have to be drastically different. I'm just saying that, hey, it's a different bonus, the video series. And
right. Just so if they've seen both, they don't feel like they're just getting rehashed over the same stuff.
Right. And maybe it's something that, is a big objection that you could think about that you could throw in as something. So like, hey, you know what? Now you get the special drop shipping, quick start guide. I don't know, whatever it is that's maybe not included with other things that you can give them at that opportunity, right? Something you could come up with. And the same thing, that's also a time promotion. And so what I would do is, and this is just a simple step to kind of get you on that direction with this, because, my philosophy is I don't want to overwhelm you, and I also don't want to have you go in 50 different directions, and then you're like, oh my God, I tried to do the super funnel and this and that, and my head exploded, right? Don't want that. So I would say that start with just one, and that could be a video series that leads to an open cart. That could be a free email series where you give out something specific, or a challenge. You know what I mean? Like, it could be, you could get as creative as you want with it. It could be anything that feels right to you. But the end goal of it is then there's another offer. So now every single person that's joined your email list has gone from one offer to seeing 2 offers.
Got it.
And just by doing that, you're going to increase. I'm telling you, I am. And by the way, I expect a full update on this. So, I mean, once these are implemented, I want, because, we're not just about giving the tips here. I want to hear, because I'm telling you right now, we have this saying that you'll appreciate, is that the worst thing that's going to happen is you make sales.
Right.
I mean, nothing bad's going to happen there. So, and so I think that would be where I'd put my first steps, and then just focusing on getting more traffic. And you can then experiment if you want to get crazy with it. Also, you could do the reverse, meaning, so you could also run ads to that video series, have people go through that, and then after the video series, free content, and then get the automated webinar. Right? So now you got another way that you can try to attract people with your Facebook ads, or however you're bringing in traffic, and then you're now possibly doubling your business in a very quick way.
Right. And I wondered too if, with that video series, having that be, maybe they'd both be enticing offers, but like you said, slightly different, and then definitely have that hard expired cart on that. And then that would be much better.
Yeah. And then you just tell people, if anyone says anything about it, people always worry about that. There's nothing to worry about. You just say, hey, that was just a limited time promotion. It's now done for you. You know what I mean? Like, there'll be other opportunities in the future,
Right.
And that's what you want to do with that. And I think just that simple strategy is going to be a big, big increase for you.
All right, cool. So free content for most of the 3 to 4 weeks of the month, and then a week of offer emails or new promotional emails.
And the way you want to also do that, and then we'll move on to kind of back end offers, is that one, you'll run everyone on your email list that's not a buyer through that now, right? Once it's set up. So meaning, like, you say, hey, and you just come in and you say, they don't have to opt in for the video series. They're already on the email list. And you say, hey, I put this great video series for together. I think you're going to find it super valuable. Here you go. At the bottom, you can always put like a little opt-out link and say like, hey, if you're not interested in the video series but want to stay on my email list, click this.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
We do that with Entreport. What do you use for your
Entreport?
Oh, well, there you go. They're easy. They're little opt-out links. And like, if they click that, then it just kind of removes them from that sequence. And they stay on your email. Sequence. You just say, hey, if you're not into this, that's cool. I'll be back with other stuff later on,
Oh, that's very cool.
So that's an easy one. And then, yes, exactly. And then new people are going to want to go through that entire sequence now. Now you've got to double the size, or even bigger than that, than your current one, so that every new lead is now going to go through both of those. And that's going to be a big opportunity for you there. So,
geez, I'm excited. I just looked at about 14,000 people on the list, but I haven't been emailing. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It's going to be, I'm telling you, this is just, and it's a lot of times the thing to do are these simple things. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people sit here and tell you like, oh, here's 60 different new traffic sources you need, or 300 funnels. And then you're like, what? I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? That's not going to happen. So I love that. That was where I put my first focus. Now, what would you like to talk about in terms of like back end offers and things like that?
Well, I was talking to a friend, his Facebook manager as well, and he was talking about, creating back-end offers. So in our particular niche, I suppose one of the back-end offers could be like a mastermind meetup type thing, or an event, or, something else, something to have in the back. Because right now we're just selling one product. And, from what I'm hearing, it's good to be able to have something on the back end as well.
Well, I mean, I think you want to be strategic about it, because I think where a lot of people run into trouble is they're so worried about creating new offers that they don't maximize their first offer.
Gotcha.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, right now, you've got a tremendous opportunity. You're not even close to tapped out.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you came to me and you said, you know what, we've got 4 funnels going for our same course. We're generating 6 figures a month. We've got traffic coming from the left, the right, the backwards. We've got partners. We've got evergreen funnels. I need more things to sell my people. I would say, all right, let's jump all over this. I don't know if you're quite there yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
Because I think it could end up a distraction where all of a sudden you're not implementing things. It'd be like, creating this is a great analogy we've used a lot. It's like, it'd be like creating a Broadway show and you're killing it in New York and then you shut it down and you start another show. No, you go to Las Vegas, you go to Chicago, you go, you go all over the place and you bring the show. And so I think you have an opportunity there. Now, that being said, we could definitely hash out what back-end ideas might be. It's just that I would be careful about, there's not a really good rule of thumb, but I would make sure that you're really maximized on this course and you're really helping those students crush it before you're starting to think, okay, what else can I sell to this audience?
Right. I think you're right. So I'll put that in the back pocket for now. And like you said, when we're feeling like we're maxing out on what we have, then we can start implementing some more stuff. But you're right. I'd like to tackle the low-hanging fruit right now.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, really, we can even stop there because I just, we could sit here for 2 hours and go over a bunch of things, and then you would have this laundry list of stuff that you're going to go back, and like anyone, you're probably fired up about it for like a day or two. Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, you know what? It's probably a lot of stuff. I'm going to probably go back to thinking this. So I like this as being like, that's a very concrete strategy to focus on right now. And then, later on when you get into back end stuff, it's really ends up being what you want to do to further help your specific audience. Like if an event feels right for you or a mastermind, that's great. If it's a membership or little workshops, that's something that you've probably seen us playing with a lot, little workshops that people have really loved, workshops that are a couple $100 on up on a very specific topic. But I think the key, what you're going to face is that you're really going to want to stay in your lane of who you're serving and what you're serving them for.
Right.
So like that's kind of the way that I think about my business is I think like, okay, everyone is either a course creator or an aspiring course creator, right? How can we help these people? Period. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, we're helping them with courses. What else like that's like right there that we can kind of help them with as well? Oh, webinars. Well, that makes sense. Those goes with courses, right?
Sell them, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, how about software for courses? Because that goes with courses, right? So there's simple things there. And I think where people run themselves into a muck is they start thinking, well, I've served this audience. Like now I want to think about something completely different, or I want to teach them something that has nothing to do with their core topic. And that's where people end up being topic hoppers. There's a phrase that I just came up with, and then they don't end up having that long sustainable business. Because if you look at, which you're right on the track to, I'm not sure with the timeline, but again, you're on track to you're going to be doing 7 figures here, okay, at some point. And you know this. And when you first emailed me, you were talking about how do I go from 50K to 7 figures? And I said, well, instead of thinking about that.
Yeah, you said go from 50 to 100 to 250, like work your way up incrementally, yeah.
Exactly. And I said, listen, let's go. You went from 0 to 50K. That often is one of the hardest, if not the hardest, right? Now let's go from 50K to 250K, right? And that's what you've done now. And I said, all right, now let's look at 250K. How do we scale up now to 7 figures? Well, it's going to be starting by implementing strategies just like this and sticking with, because it's working. So you just got to pour more things on what's working, not look for something else that may or may not work.
Right. Well, you're 100% right. So then let me get a bit more specific then. So when you're talking about, we're doing this video series offer, for example. Okay, so promotion. I know that's definitely in your course about that whole. Is that would you say just follow with that same? Yeah,
exactly, and just evergreen it right from the start because that's where you're at, right? So meaning the real secret to success in this business, which has kind of shifted over the years, and it's a great shift. I mean, it's a fantastic shift. Is that really the long-term success is all about evergreen. Right. Because launches, and people get this, they're like, oh, it's all about the launch. No, it's not about the launch. The launch is what gets the ball rolling off the hill. It gets your first customers in. For some people, it's a few $1,000. For some people, it's a lot more than that. It varies, right? But the ball is getting your product off the hill. Like if I have an iPhone here right next to me, they don't just have the launch of the iPhone, then there's no more iPhone. Do you know what I mean? Like you keep working on it. And so the launch gets it rolling. Then it's really about that evergreen model of like, okay, as leads come in, how can we continue to make awesome offers? How can we help them out, right? And in an evergreen basis as they come in. And so, yes, so I would follow the exact model and create awesome online courses for the videos, because you will see in there the outlines for the videos, suggestions, things like that. That's exactly what it is. It's just that at the end, it's just going to be, we call it then, the VIP launch, but at the end, it's just going to be a special promotion for it, right? But I would follow that exactly to a T. And really in a free video series, it's about helping people and it's about giving value. I think there's a bad trend out there. Bad trend. And I ripped this on another podcast episode. I can't remember which one. I ripped this thing bad. There's a bad trend of people doing these video series that offer zero value.
Right, there's no content at all. Yeah.
None. And what they do is, and I've seen this before, and it makes me upset, is they'll do stuff like they'll hire very professional videographers, or like, in comes Steven Spielberg on a white horse. I don't even know, right? Probably spending zillions of dollars, which is unnecessary too, right? But you get into it and it's like
learning nothing.
Yes, it's a warm glass of nothing. It's like it's like motivational, but it's like it's too artsy and filmy. So ignore that. I mean, stick with like, hey, let's give some great tips. Let's get people started. And I think a big thing with a video series to think about, just like an automated webinar, same thing, is like think about who is this person that's coming in? Where can I help them out right away? And then, hey, they love this stuff. Great, they're going to enroll in the course.
Well, because obviously on our webinar we teach 3 really high content important things in that webinar, right? So then when we do the video series, should they be completely different?
I would go a little bit different. So yeah, I mean it would. So here's another thing too, and again this follows the CAOC format, but it's going to be specific to your situation here too. It's like, for example, if you're going through what's your webinar called?
Good question.
Give or take, or what do you go through in the webinar?
The 3 things we cover is how to find profitable niches, and then how to get approved with the right kinds of suppliers, to get the right kind of profit margins, and then how to generate traffic.
Okay,
That's
awesome.
In a nutshell.
Awesome. So the video series, just throw out ideas, and this is just a good way of thinking about it. Maybe the entire video series is about mistakes and how to avoid them.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, so like, okay, here's mistake number 1 is the first video, right? And this is a little bit different than the outline and create awesome online courses, but it's the exact same idea. Okay. So like, meaning like the first video is like, okay, hey, most common mistake we've seen is this. Here's how to avoid it. Here's what to do instead. This is why it's a mistake. Second most common, and then you could literally do 3 videos with mistake 1, mistake 2, mistake 3 if they're juicy enough,
Right.
And then you say, whatever it might be, or maybe there's 2 mistakes in a video, whatever, So that's one thing. I mean, you could go through a getting started process that people could implement type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, hey, here's some things how to find, and then, hey, here's how then the course will take you to the next level, show you exactly what to do, right?
So it'd be a bit of a mix of approaching some other pain points that maybe I'm not getting in the webinar, and also maybe coming at some of the same important content that's in the webinar, but from a different angle. Exactly.
Because a lot of times, like you've probably seen this with my stuff, right? We've got our 7 steps to creating, promoting, and profiting from online courses, right? That's like my core free content, right? And that content we use in a lot of different ways, right? Because we can also take that process and also turn those into mistakes.
Gotcha.
Right? We could say, here's how to name your course. That's a positive, right? How to name a course. Here's how not to name your course, or here's a mistake. Here's a mistake is getting hung up on the name of your course, right?
Okay, very cool. Yeah.
So you've got your core content that's already doing well for you. You're not really trying to think, well, God, what else can I really do?
How else can I explain it? How could I explain it to someone who maybe didn't relate to it in that first time they heard it? Maybe
exactly.
What's a different way?
Is there more visual examples you give? Can you bring in more customers from the course to say, hey, anytime you can illustrate with someone that's in your course, use that as an illustration. I mean, like here, hey, here's a common thing. Example, like on one of my webinars, we talk about pricing mistakes, and the most common pricing mistake is people price their course too low, right? And so I use an example of Karen Paddock, who is one of my students, and I say, okay, here's Karen's course. It was priced too low. She increased her price 81%. Here's what happened, right? Common mistake, boom, turn example, boom. You're also mentioning your course. And by the way, that's another thing too. Don't be afraid to mention it. I mean, you don't need to sell your course in the videos, because it'll all be sold at the end. But don't be afraid to mention it either. Yeah, like it's not like some secret. It's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people are like, it's just the mystery. No. I mean, don't be afraid to say like, hey, here's one of my students in my course. This is the name of the course. This is what it helps you do, and blah, 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 blah. Because you also realize that people that are going to go through this video series may have not watched the webinar at all.
Right.
And they may have deleted all your emails. Maybe. Do you know what I mean? So like this might be all brand new to them. This might literally be their first introduction to you beyond how they got on your email list. So you got to think about, okay, well, you're going to need to rehash things, right? Don't be afraid to say, oh God, I said that once in the webinar. Do you know what I mean? You could probably take all my stuff. I probably do nothing but repeat myself, would be my guess. I just do it in different ways with different examples in different contexts,
Yep.
So I think you've got a game plan, my friend.
Yeah, I think I do too, man. Thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad because I'm definitely excited, but not overwhelmed, which is
exactly. And listen, if I can leave you like that, I mean, it's like when you go into a new fitness trainer or something like that, and they're like, we're going to need you to work out 7 days a week, twice a week.
Yeah,
like, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think. What if they came in? They said, "How about 2 days a week for 45 minutes to start?" Oh, that's not too bad, right?
With that. Yeah.
So I love this. I want to hear the results, Leigh. This has been great. And by the way, for folks that do want to check you guys out, I definitely want to give you a shameless plug for sure, because this has kind of been a cool thing that we got to do here. And where can people find out more if they're interested in the Dropship and what they can do, the do-it-yourself Dropship?
Yeah, you can go to DIYdropship.com. That's our main website. We've got all the information on there. We've got some free content you can look at, and also you can register for the webinar and, watch 3/4 of it just to get all the content if you want and shut it off if you so choose.
Awesome. Yeah, if you so choose, you can, of course, check out more. Check out if you're into the Dropship, check it out. And Leigh, by the way, I do have to say this. I mean, this is going to be interesting. You are definitely going to be on the path, both you guys, to 7 figures here, right?
I'm excited, man.
And my advice is, stay motivated and realize it's going to be a series of small wins that are going to get you there. Do you know what I mean? Like, realize it's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be necessarily even a few months from now, right? It's going to be things that are going to set you up, though, then for a long-term sustainable business. Where we're going to be talking about this for years. I'm going to welcome you into our 7-figure club, right? But realize it's not a race. Enjoy the journey. Just continue to implement and moving forward, and not think, oh my God, I should be where I'm over here or where I'm over here. Like, just remember, just putting these things into place, little things after a while, they're going to add up and keep getting you to that next level.
All right, man. That's the best advice I had all day. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome, Leigh. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. That was something really different here on the podcast. I really hope you enjoyed that. And by the way, let me know feedback on types of episodes that you're enjoying. I always want to deliver what you guys like, as long as it's not something crazy. Fire me an email, david@therisetop.com, or obviously if you're on the email list because you've subscribed at therisetop.com/subscribe to the podcast, just reply to the email. Let me know what you think about episodes like this with Leigh. And if you want to see more of these kind of coaching consulting episodes, we'll call them on the Rise to Top podcast. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know for sure. Okay. So some links on the way out. I just mentioned a big one, therisetop.com/subscribe. We've got all the ways you can subscribe to the podcast right there. And we've got more coming out all the time. Podcasts are blowing up. So we've got stuff everywhere from Stitcher Radio. We've got iTunes. We've got all kinds of good stuff. You can check that all out. therisetop.com/subscribe. Okay. Now, another thing, we just talked about this recently, is that we've got a free Facebook group. If you are a course creator or aspiring course creator, or you're just interested in online courses, you want to come join us at Rise Nation. Come out, hang out with our free Facebook group community at joinrisenation.com. So joinrisenation.com. Join the free Facebook group. Come and hang out with us. We're having a good old-fashioned time in there in the free Facebook group at joinrisenation.com. And the final link, of course, just for podcast listeners, if you are not already and you're interested in creating, promoting, and profiting from your own online course, and you want to get started and you want to join my #1 program, Create Awesome Online Courses, we do have a special offer just for podcast listeners. Just go to createawesomeonlincourses.com/unlock, and you'll get special access, a special offer, all that kind of good stuff. Hope to see you in that program either now or in the future. All right, my friends, it's been David Siteman Garland on the Rise to the Top podcast. I will see you next time. And remember, if you want some fluff, you know what to do. Go pet a bunny.
I'm a beaver. I want it to Daddy. All the way to the top.